All right, welcome everyone. This is Tuesday at 8. Hope you guys are all having a great week. And let's just start by reviewing what we're doing this week. We'll do a little talk about the law of the clock, the law of opportunity, and the art of discretion. And feel free throughout this, any of you, to unmute your mic and we'll talk back and forth or to chat. This week is our first week with a case study. And the case study, your assignment is to do a little group work. Now, the group work is actually just, it can be more than one other person, but typically it's one other person that you'll go over the case study with. As I said in my email, I'm not expecting you to, if you go through and answer the questions and you have a discussion, don't feel like you have to just keep going to fill like an hour's worth of time. If it takes 15 or 20 minutes, 25 minutes, that's perfectly fine. So don't just fill dead space with busy work. About every other week, we'll have a case study every week, but about every other week, it'll be a case study quiz, and then the next week, a group assignment. And so the case studies kind of help get you thinking about this topic, and also, especially later on as you start building your CREED document. Next week, we start building your CREED document. So that'll be part 1. This week, there's no CREED document. It's just the threaded discussion, the case study work. You have to fill out a schedule. Now, the schedule, I'm going to just be honest with you. I'm not going to judge you on your schedule. I'm not going to go in and start adding up hours and saying you're not getting enough sleep or you're not getting enough study time. It's purely an exercise for you. So I'm not going to go in there and grade it other than just having seen that you've done it. So just, fill out that schedule. So it's purely an exercise for you. I'm not going to go in there and judge on your schedule. So any questions? So Erica asked this question: with your CREED document, does it need to be in PowerPoint or in Word? It does not matter, okay? She's asking, does it matter? It does not. So I've seen lots of different formats. I've seen it in Prezi. People do PowerPoint. People do it in Word. People do it in, whatever tool they have. And so, no, it doesn't matter. My suggestion, though, would be thinking about how you want it to look in the end. And the more that you do style-wise in the beginning, you don't have to hand it in stylized until the end. And so the more you can do on it, though, the less work you'll have at the end. And Lindsay's asking, with the schedule, does every box have to be filled in, or can you just say when you're starting and ending things? Every box does not have to be filled in. So I think it's in 15-minute blocks. If you want to do it an hour a block, perfect. Again, it's just for you to kind of get you thinking about when you're going to sleep, when you're going to study, when you're going to do homework, those kinds of things. So, all right. So quickly, we're going to talk about a couple things. I'm going to give you a little thought to think about tonight. This week, we have 2 laws. It's the only week we have 2 laws and 1 art. The law of the clock and the law of opportunity. And the law of the clock is really simple. You can't speed up time. You can't slow it down. You can't save it. People say there is time savers. You have 60 minutes in an hour, 60 seconds in a minute, 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Now, time may seem fast or slow depending upon the enjoyment factor. If you enjoy something, it's going to seem like it goes faster. The law of opportunity says there's going to be more things to do with your time than you have time to do them. And then the art of discretion. The art of discretion is understanding how to manage the law of the clock and the law of opportunity. And it's very simple. It's understanding the difference between things that are vital and things that are urgent. Now, what I want you to do, and you can do this just as fast as you can on the chat, or if you want to chime in on the meeting, I want you to respond, what are your big distractions? what are the things that you have that distract you from other things? So we have phone, Netflix, YouTube, social media, fishing. That's good. Phone, kids, media, it's coming too fast. It's okay. Texting, Netflix, NBA playoffs is going on right now. I don't even know who's winning, but someone's winning. Personally, I'm voting for the Bucks this year. Boredom, games, friends, more sleep. The point I want to make, I'm going to share a little story with you about my academic experience as a college student and give you a little tip. And that is, you guys have hundreds, dozens at least, of more distractions than I had when I was a student. This is going to date me a little bit, but when I was a student at Ricks College and then Utah State University, that was about the time ESPN started. I remember when ESPN was brand new. Cable TV, when I was a student your age, had, well, let me rephrase that. The typical college age student, because we have some older students in the class, was about 12 channels. We did not have email. We did not have the internet. We did not have cell phones. Most of the things you listed there, other than sleep and food, we did not have social media. And so you guys have more demands on your time. And I think the case study, I wrote that case study a few years ago, so it's like even worse now with things like Instagram and Twitter, those kinds of things. When I was a missionary, I served in the Philippines, and my mission, and I was not a good high school student. In fact, I was barely a C student in high school. I benefited when I came to Ricks College because it was open admissions. I didn't even have to take the ACT back in that day. As I was getting ready to come home from my mission president said, "Elder Davis, what are you going to do when you get home?" And I said, "I'm going to go back to Ricks College." And I don't think he knew what my GPA was. The one semester I did before college, before my mission, but he said, "Would you like to be a straight A student?" And I said, "Yes, I would like to be a straight A student." The irony was I never had been, or at that time point, never had ever gotten straight A's. So I said, "I'm going to give you a little advice. This is the advice." He said, I'm going to show you a little chart. This is what he described to me. He said, "I want you, when you go to school, I want you to start your day at 8, take your classes in the morning, take a break for lunch, do your homework in the afternoon." He said, "But I want you to quit at 5 o'clock. So what does that sound like? 8 to 5, what does it sound like? Any ideas? A job? Yes. Work. Well, I came home from my mission. I started classes 2 days after I got home. I started early. I worked hard. I got my homework done. I spent every minute of working time. I went to the testing center, actually very much like it is today. It's in a different part of campus back then. But I went to the testing center and took my first after mission test. And it was a biology test. I studied so hard for it. I did everything my mission president suggested, and I was hoping that his promise of an A would come true. What do you think I got? First test after mission. A, B, A, D, C, C, D. You guys aren't giving me much confidence here. I didn't get an F, thankfully. I got 69%. So that is officially a D plus. So I was a little bit frustrated because I felt like I'd done everything I was supposed to do. I went to class the next day, and the professor, Brother Godfrey, put the top score up on the lowest score. And the top score in the class was a 69. I got the top score. Because he graded on a curve, I got an A. And so all of a sudden I had a little confidence, and I did this for that whole first semester home. And I got, for the first time in my life, I got 2 A's, 2 A minuses. I only had 4 classes because I was on the block. So I got straight A's mostly, kind of. So you guys, feel free to talk to me or chat. What do you guys think of this? A couple of you have said you've already got this advice from your dad, And someone said, I wish I could stop my homework at 5. Maybe Erica could tell me why it's hard to get her homework done by 5. Any thoughts? Feel free, again, to unmute your mic and talk to me if you want. A couple of you are doing this. Hillary has a full-time job. So that's like impossible because you're already working during the day. Some of you are probably only taking online classes. If you're taking online classes, it's a little bit different, right? This is traditional. And then Ashlyn, who's working full-time and in school full-time. Okay, any thoughts? Someone be brave and talk, just for fun.
I'm definitely not doing full-time school and full-time work. I have just 5 credits, but it's hard with, and I have a family. Yep. So I feel like I come home and shut myself away with this lovely bunk bed in the back and try to make it work, but I often feel like I'm neglecting other things.
Yeah, you have a lot on your plate, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Any other thoughts?
Just as a test, are you able to hear this?
Yes, I can hear you.
So for me, I try to do this schedule, but I find what I often run into is I try to do like 9 to 5 and try to be done with everything by 5. But I guess there's still some of those days where, you know, it doesn't work out. You know, sometimes you end up doing homework till, you know, 11 and 12 o'clock at night, even though you had a goal of being done by 5. And so I think that's what I run into sometimes.
I apologize for the phone call, by the way, but my kids need a ride from Mutual. My wife's picking them up. Yeah, so that's a great point. Sometimes this is going to work, sometimes it doesn't. So for me, this worked mostly, but the problem was that finals week or midterms, right? You kind of have to throw that out the window because all of a sudden everything comes crashing down. So fast forward for me, this was easy for me, kind of, because I was single, brand new home off my mission. I'm from Rexburg, so I lived at home. My mom made me breakfast, I came home to dinner. It was like, and I didn't have to work, right? My dad worked at Ricks College, so I got to go to school for free. But then I met my wife. Well, actually, I also learned this, right? I learned that I'm not good in big chunks, right? I'm good for about 50 minutes in stretches. I can do homework. I can't do homework for 4 hours straight. And so my second semester, I broke things up. I still tried to do 8 to 5. I took classes at 8, started at 8, tried to end at 5, but I was doing, you know, homework in the middle of it and classes later. Then I ended up meeting my wife, and we dated, and then we got engaged, and then we got married, and I had to start working. So for me, I then had this chunk of work in the middle of the day. And so I was still committed to doing this, but in order for me to fit in 3 hours of work, I needed to start earlier and end a little bit later. And Lindsay makes up a really good point here. And that is, maybe homework's different than it used to be, and maybe there's more of it. And Ronnie, I'm going to read this. Tried something a little different called the Pomodoro technique. So I'd be curious about that. And then Erica points out, and I think this is true, I'm hoping it's not exactly true with this class, but they can tend to maybe pile on busy work because I feel like they need to make it. Anyway, but let's talk about, not necessarily like this is like cut and dried. Let's talk about the principles here. The principles are this, and that is, if you will plan, and this is something we've always heard and learned about, and that is work before play, right? And a homework assignment that's due in a month or at the end of this week, let's use this class as an example. You have a couple of assignments that are due by Friday and one that is due on Saturday. The homework assignment Friday night at 11 p.m., if it's not done, goes from vital to urgent. It's vital right now. The homework is vital now, but if it's an hour from midnight and it's not done and it's due, it becomes urgent. I don't know, look for it. My daughter's asking for my phone. A distraction. So, and so the idea that I tried to live with in my life was I knew that if I did all my studies before I did the non-vital or urgent things, and that could be watching a movie, being with friends, still good things, then I was getting my homework done. And some days I would be done earlier than 5 or 6. And instead of quitting, I wanted to treat it like a full-time job. Instead of quitting at 4 or 5 or at 3, I would continue to work until my workday was done, which means I might be doing 2 weeks homework in advance. I might be saying to myself, well, this term paper that's due in a month, I'm just going to get a little head start on it. It's the principle of delaying gratification. And it's true for me in my job. And I have a really great job at BYU Idaho. I manage the Career Center. I have stuff that I come to work every day that is really fun to do. And I always hop on it first. And then there might be this report or this, stuff that's not that much fun, but still it's due. I put it off and put it off and put it off. And then all of a sudden it's due, and then I hurry and get it done. Well, that becomes urgent. So delaying gratification is do the hard stuff first and the enjoyable stuff second. Now, the rewards, here are the rewards. I got better grades. I was able to get mostly straight A's through college, and I was able to get on scholarship, which was, if you knew me in high school, you'd know that no one would have guessed that. The other thing that I enjoyed a lot, was in the evenings at college, and some of you aren't on campus, but in the evening, there's fun things to do here in Rexburg. Not like other places, but a game, a movie, a concert, watching a Netflix show. Well, if you've got all your work done, you have guilt-free fun, because you don't have to say, well, I would enjoy this more if I didn't realize that I've got to do this assignment when I get home or when I'm done. And these habits translate to success. The barriers to success. Habits are hard to break. We have a bazillion distractions. Our natural tendency and my natural tendency is to procrastinate. And then we wait until it becomes urgent. We got this monkey on our back, and then we'll finally go and do it. This is a plea for me in my job as the Career Center director. One of the things that we see our students who are looking to graduate and then get a job is they wait until their last semester to get serious about looking, applying, getting the resume reviewed, all those things. There is wisdom in starting your internship search, your looking for an opportunity to apply, to network way before you graduate. All right. The quote I posted on our announcement, we're going to almost conclude with this. If we take care of the minutes, the years will take care of themselves. It's my favorite time management quote. Lindsay has a great suggestion, and President Nelson even indicated this: take a social media break or a social media gaming fast. That'll help you get a lot done. Okay, last tip, and this is some advice I would give you. When I started at Ricks College, I had really poor study habits. My first job on campus was working in the reading lab. And so I helped people, and a lot of international students, help them with their reading. Next to me was the study skills lab. And so I went over and went through the study skills modules on my own time, learned how to read a textbook better, how to take a test. As simple as I can make some smart skills here. And these are going back to habits. If you do these 3 things, you'll do better in school. Find the best time to study for you. And for some of you, it might not be the 8 to 5. You might say, you know what, I'm more of an evening person, and my best time to study is from 7 to 8:30. Just be consistent in doing that consistently, because your body gets in that mode. Study in the same place. Find a place you're not going to be distracted. And the third one, study only, which means you probably shouldn't do homework on your bed, because that's where you sleep, on your kitchen table, because that's where you eat, on your couch, because that's where you watch Netflix or TV or hang out. So to answer Cody Ann, and maybe some of you can help with this question. Cody Ann asked this question: how do you overcome the urge to procrastinate? Hunter says, follow a schedule. I think that's a good one. I'm going to be the devil's advocate a little bit. Ronnie says, take scheduled breaks. have a plan, Stephen says. For most of us, you're probably never going to not have the urge to procrastinate. I became a straight A student, and I feel like I'm pretty successful in my work. I still have the urge to procrastinate every single day. So it's just being able to have enough self-mastery to act in spite of the fact that you want to procrastinate. And for me, and I think Clay says that, just start. And he says start with big things early and get them out of the way. Just start. I went to a conference down in Salt Lake, and the speaker, his name was Richie Norton, and he talked about this procrastination thing. And he talked about fear. Sometimes fear is what holds us back. The biggest thing he said, write down the one thing you'd like to do that you haven't done because you're either afraid to or you're procrastinating. And I wrote down, and I thought about this for years. I thought, I would like to write a book. And he said, okay, this is the most important thing. Just start it. So I came back from Salt Lake, and I came home that night, and I wrote the first sentence. And in about 6 months, I had my book written. But it was the starting that was the holding me back. Let me read this because people are liking it. Hillary says, my husband says about things I want to procrastinate, it's never going to be more fun than it is right now. That's a great point. All right, let's see. We're actually going to be under 30 minutes today. Does anybody have any questions for this week? Just a reminder, next week, PCD starts, PCD, Personal Creed Document Part 1. Hopefully everybody's got their textbook. Some people have asked the question, can you do things in advance? You can't do the Canvas stuff in advance, but you can always read ahead, and you can always, chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6 are all PCD chapters. So you can actually look ahead and get an early start. Lindsay asked the question, how do we find a group for the case study? That group is up to you. And again, it can be one other person. So a roommate, a friend, classmate in this class. You could reach out on the discussion board and say, hey, someone in the class want to be my partner. And then Cody Ann's asking the question, do they have to be in the class? I've already answered it because you caught it. No, they do not have to be. Okay. All right, any questions for this week? All right, I will stay on. Ronnie's asking, so I do not know about this, the Eisenhower matrix for time management, because apparently what we're talking is similar to that. I do not know what that is, so that is something I'm going to look into. Sounds interesting. So, okay, I'm going to stop this recording for the sake of all the about 100 plus people that need to watch the recording. Good luck with everybody. Please send me an email if you have any questions. If not, we'll see you next week, and I will stay on after I stop this recording to answer your questions.